I'm now recording, just so you know.
Great. Should we turn this off?
Yeah, probably. I'm locked and loaded. I think you need to do it.
Is there
There's a button on the side of it, on the top front side of it.
Turn to me.
It won't go that far. Dear listeners, he's trying to figure out a fan.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Wow.
There was a moment where it started to like turn in a direction that was going to be catastrophic for my setup over here.
It was going to be bad.
But we figured it out.
Bad things were going to happen.
Bad things were going to happen.
Incredible. What a gift.
This is kind of surreal.
Isn't it?
To be back.
I feel like we've been gone for a year and not 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 2 months, however the fuck long it's been.
Erin,
since we talked.
You know what it feels like? It feels vaguely like we were a beloved sitcom from the 80s or 90s.
Mm-hmm.
We had a great run. We ended. And now they've rebooted us for Netflix.
Yeah, and it's not going as good.
It's not going great.
It's a bad idea.
We're the new Sex and the City
Oh,
reboot.
no. We're like the Gilmore Girls, I guess.
We're Fuller House.
We are Fuller. Oh. And goodbye, everybody.
Well, it was fun.
It was a good time while it was a good time. And now it is bad times.
No. It's the holidays. Only good times during the holidays.
It's the holiday season.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Dum, bum, bum, bum. I wish all of our friends and family and listeners to know that I decorated my apartment before Alan got here. I really set the vibe.
It's beautiful. I wish that we can somehow convey this to you, but Erin has built a lovely, like, cozy little nook.
Yeah. And what is particularly fun about it is that I am a Halloween decor year-round person. So it is a combination of our favorite things, which is Halloween and the Christmas. And when Alan got here, I had the candles going. I was like, I set up the TV to be cat videos, but Christmas themed for my cat. So she got to watch squirrels play in the snow. And then I also had the Christmas music going, which I had to turn off for copyright purposes.
Yeah, that's devastating. Just pretend. Play some Christmas music in the background of us.
Yeah. If we weren't both raging queers in opposite directions, it could have been misconstrued as a date.
It's true. It was very romantic. Like, ooh.
Yeah, it was. I was like, I'm just going to treat my friend. And then I was like, oh yeah, people do this for like people they want to do things with. Hi, Alan.
Hi, Erin.
How are you?
I am well. How are you?
I'm hanging in there.
I feel that.
And here we are, recording an episode. It is the Holiday Spectacular 2021.
Yeah, and I know you're asking yourselves, what holiday?
And you know what? We're asking ourselves that too. But like previous years, we have sort of fallen off the rails completely. Like, we are no longer a train.
No.
We are in a ravine somewhere. Oh,
yeah.
Bucky. Poor Bucky.
Oh, no.
I made myself sad.
No.
So we decided over text like a week ago that we were like, fuck it. We're going to do holidays, but no one needs that Thanksgiving bullshit this year. We're just not about it. But we also missed Halloween. We chose tags for Halloween and then didn't record in time for Halloween.
Ew.
So the Holiday Spectacular this year is going to be a speed run.
Yes.
From spooky times to season's greetings.
Nailed it.
Alan watched me struggle with that in real time.
I was watching.
I made eye contact and there was panic. I was like, oh no, I didn't think about this joke to its end.
Delightful. I'm glad we're back.
And just in time to leave.
Oh, it's so true.
It is accurate. So yeah, so friends, our tags this time around, it is going to be one of those double header episodes. So who the fuck knows how long it's going to take us to get through it. But it is a double header episode of tags. One set for Halloween and one set for Christmas.
It's true.
We are completely bucking with convention, and I don't think either one of them is an AU. You could argue one of them, but they're not officially AUs. Yeah.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
The fact that we're here is win enough.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
So I've decided I don't care.
1,000%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it.
Yeah. No, we literally just picked tags that we could find fix for.
Yeah.
And enjoyed, so we could like get through this, and then yeah. But it also like that would be fun to talk about.
Yeah.
So
I was very excited about the tags.
Yeah, I am excited about the tags too. So
all this mystery.
I know, lots of mystery for something that is like in the title of the podcast for sure. Because that's what happened like the last 2 holiday seasons. I was like, we should make people guess what it is, and you're like, I put it in the title. I'm so sorry.
I forgot about that.
Like, come on.
So that people know what they're getting into.
Yeah, I know, but then we made like a whole big deal out of it in the episode, and Mai in particular, hi Mai, was like, y'all are ridiculous. It's like, you right. All right.
Yeah.
So we should start chronologically in the calendar year.
Oh yeah, I think that's wise.
Okay, so that means we're starting with Halloween, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's our tag for spooky season? I think as resident spooky queen, you should be the one to announce this one.
Wow, I'm so thrilled with that title. I will take it. I do have a mini Mothman.
And he's adorable. I love him.
He is. He's a little plushie. My friend, who also gave me a lot of crystals, Angel, I love you so much, gave me this mini Mothman, and I cried.
Oh.
It's really sweet. So our holiday tag for the Halloweens, that sounded bad. I'm not going to say that. Our Halloween tag is dun, da, 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 ghosts.
Yes.
Which is arguably Ghost AU.
Yeah.
You could make an argument.
I agree.
Yeah, especially with how I think both of us chose to go about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
1,000%.
we did not choose canon ghost characters. Neither of us did Danny Phantom.
Oh, that would have been so smart.
I know.
I struggled.
I did
to no one's surprise.
Yeah.
I need people to write more. Okay, here's the thing though. I guess in my head I was like, ghosts, so one of them has to be a ghost. That was like in my head I was like, that's the guideline. But I found so many just like ghost hunter, like so many of those.
We should have done that.
Yeah, well,
we should have done Ghost Hunter, especially with BuzzFeed Unsolved.
Yeah.
Ending, and then a week later, Watcher turning up with BuzzFeed Unsolved in a mustache.
Which I saw that.
So proud of them for.
So good.
I love it so much.
Yes.
Because people were joking on Tumblr, like, watch them come out with their own version of the show, like, tweaked enough to be legal in a week, and they did.
Amazing.
Thrilled. Ryan, Shane, and Steven, frankly, if you ever want to be on this podcast, our email address is thefixlist@gmail.com. My phone number I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that.
You can have mine. Mine is...
But yeah, no, seriously, the Ghost Hunter would have been fun, but we chose Ghost, and I realized belatedly that I lied. My choice was actually centered around a canon ghost character.
I was wondering.
I screwed up.
I did some research, as I often do when it's an entirely new fandom to me.
Yep.
And you said, not canonically canonical. It's not canon, and I was like,
No, it is. I'm just a dummy.
No, that's all right.
It's been a long 6 minutes since we started recording.
It's only been 6 minutes?
No, it's been like 9.5.
Oh, okay, that's great.
It's fine.
I was like, don't mess with my perception of time.
Oh, time is an illusion, my friend.
Oh, God.
It's not real.
We can't go down in this path. Should we just become a philosophy podcast instead?
No.
Philosophy AU.
Ooh.
I love it.
No, I'd hate that for us.
So what kind of... did you have any kind of parameters that you were looking for in a ghost?
No,
book?
I was sheer desperation trying to find a fic. Like, I could not fucking find one that I liked, and I didn't really have one, which was super frustrating.
Amazing.
And I just picked the first one that was like, okay, cool. I chose the fandom first, and that was somewhat of a disaster of a choice. But I thought for sure that Ghost would be in this fandom and in this pairing in particular that we're about to talk about. And then it wasn't tagged, obviously. And it was just a struggle to try to find something that sort of like made sense for like how we talk about fanfic and like why we would pick something to talk about.
Yeah. Because
there was plenty that was just sort of like, okay.
Yeah, like plenty of fics where they're just like, oh, Ghosts.
But I wanted to pick something that had something to talk about and spoke to the show that I chose and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, some substance. Good. Yeah, I agree. I know what you mean.
So it took me a little bit. And apparently this is not something that I read, because in my 3,500 AO3 tags, we've crushed that threshold. I didn't have any ghost tags, like not a one. And I did have some Quelliot, of course, that dealt with Q in the afterlife.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't want to send you another magician's fic. I'm trying really, really hard to broaden the horizons a little bit. But also, like, they weren't about Q being a ghost.
Right.
They were always about Elliot trying to get Q back from the afterlife in the underworld, which is great and wonderful, and I've clearly read 1,000 of those fics. But it wasn't the vibe. It wasn't the Halloween spooky season.
Right, like, because for a tag that you want the tag to kind of be the center point of the thing, like how a fic uses that convention.
Yeah. It was not Pride 2 Electric Spookaloo.
It was not, alas.
It was Pride 3 I'm Crying.
New merch coming soon.
Yeah. We really do need to start making merch of the stupid shit we say just for fun.
There's so much good stuff. If someone out there can remember just like quotes, please send them our way.
Yeah, seriously.
We'll make a sticker.
Yep. So what about you, Alan? You kind of went into it a little bit. Was there anything in particular that you really enjoyed about Ghost Fic?
It's fascinating.
So no.
I did. I had an interesting time because I obviously watch a lot of horror movies and I read a lot of like horror novels. So I'm no like stranger to like a haunted house or like a ghost. And actually that's kind of my preferred genre in spooky things. So it was weird to try to find a story that was not about the spooks, but about the relationship.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting like journey for me.
Yeah.
And I started like 2 random fics that I was like, oh, this is it. I started reading, what was it? It was a James Bond fic. And it sat on paper, the summary, the length was good too. It was like between 10 to 15,000, and I was like, this is like a good like solid chunk. And I got through like half of it before the characterization just fell apart, and I was like, no,
that's a bummer.
Yeah, I had a few false starts.
Yeah,
but I think I landed on something that I was like, this is good. I'm fine with this.
I had a great time with yours.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Should I launch into
it? Sounds like we're there.
Yeah, we love a natural segue. All right, I gotta close out all of my Google tabs about how to set up microphones in GarageBand.
We had a journey, folks. It was...
Oh my god. So just like the short version of it is every time we do this in person, we have to Google from scratch how to set up 2 microphones to record simultaneously. And it never works on the first 7 tries. No. It's bad. So now that we're recording and talking about fan fiction, the Halloween ghost fan fiction that Alan sent me is called The Afterlife of the Party by Never Say Die on AO3. The universe and the fandom that it's in is MCU, specifically Captain America, Marvel Cinematic Universe. We are, that old chestnut.
Yep.
I was very on board with it. I was like, you know where my current hyperfixations lie. The summary says, oh no, hell no. Bucky freezes with his hand halfway to the giant ornamental vase the new family have just unpacked. Smashing it would be the perfect way to announce himself on moving day, a big, stylish gesture that's ambiguous enough to leave them feeling only slightly unnerved until he decides things need to escalate. That is, it would be the perfect way to announce himself if a skinny blonde kid hadn't just walked through the living room wall. This house is taken, pal. What the fuck? This is my family. The kid is standing there awkwardly, like they're still corporeal and he might have to duck or deliver a punch in the near future. This is my house. He narrows his eyes and slowly gets to his feet. The guy's eyes keep flicking to his missing arm, and Bucky is starting to see red. And I don't appreciate other people living in it. Brackets, in which dead dorks in love, awkward ghost sex, and a whole lot of accidental feelings happen. End brackets. I love the brackets part of that summary.
Yeah, the rest of it is we love an excerpt summary.
Yeah, it's the first like 6 lines of the fic, which is
it literally is.
Yeah, it's the first chunk of it, which is fair. It's a way to do it. We talk about this every time. We don't have to get into it.
Yep.
I really liked the bracket part of it. I think that is a very fun and funny way to describe this fic, which is very much about dead dorks in love, awkward ghost sex, and a bunch of accidental feelings.
Yep.
There we go.
That's what's on the tin.
Yeah. So the way that this fic starts off is just what I talked about. A new family is moving into the house that Bucky haunts. Bucky and Steve are both dead. They are both ghosties.
Yep.
And Bucky is a very angry, vengeful spirit. And Steve is more of a protective spirit, and he is attached to he meaning Steve is attached to the little girl in the family, who you kind of come to find out is in a foster situation. So this is actually a foster family scenario. Bucky is attached to the house. So there's sort of the immediate conflict is that Bucky wants them gone, but Steve wants to protect them so they can stay. Hilarious.
Yeah.
Wonderful. On board. So Bucky goes to like start scaring the child and scaring the adults, and Steve throws down and is like, absolutely not. You cannot scare her. She's been through enough shit. And Bucky realizes that the girl Sarah can see Steve, and Bucky's like, what the fuck, you're not supposed to be seen as a ghost. And he was like, it's fine, I'm her imaginary friend, like she's a foster kid, like they all think it's cute, it's fine. And he's like, okay. And then Sarah starts being able to see Bucky as well, which is like from the beginning, she can kind of see him. And she knows now that there's like 2 spirits or whatever. Mm-hmm. So they sort of hang out. And over the course of the fic, Bucky starts to like kind of warm up to Steve. And by extension, Sarah. Although not really. Bucky is a very angry spirit because he has been murdered in the house, which you find out pretty late in the fic, and it was quite a violent experience. Mm-hmm. So his sort of post-spirit life, whatever mission, is to be angry and drive people out of the thing. And it sort of sets up this, or presumes this construct where spirits are not in charge of what they do. Like they have no control over where they go or what they are assigned to do. They just kind of have parameters that they have to live in. So Bucky's is that he can't leave the house, right? And he like flies into these angry rages, and once he starts off on a rage, like he can't stop it. It's too late. There is a sort of moment in the fic, kind of like early on ish, where he gets really angry and throws a book, and it hits Sarah, and Sarah like starts bleeding, and Steve, being a protective spirit, banishes him to the backyard. And that's kind of Steve's parameters, is he is there to protect Sarah. So he can't leave her side for very long. He goes wherever they go, and he is there. He gets more powerful and stronger when there are threats to Sarah, so he protects her. It's kind of a fascinating construct. Yeah. And I really enjoyed that little look into, like, it wasn't a heavy-handed thing, which I liked a lot, but it gave a little bit of context to the world and it set up interesting conflict later too. Yeah. Because those 2 things are sort of diametrically opposed, and you have these 2 characters who sort of slowly are getting into each other, and then but they have these like cross purposes that are going to come to a head eventually. Oof. So through the course of the fic, you realize that Steve died in 1929. He was very sickly. They used the backstory from Steve Rogers, the character, to that great effect, except he actually died of pneumonia. He never became, a super soldier or anything like that. And so Steve is a little bit more gentle about the afterlife than Bucky is. Steve has a lot of, he was just like, frankly, I lived longer than I thought I was going to. Yeah. So I wasn't too mad when the time came, because like I had lived a good long life of 30 years and that, pneumonia wasn't the worst way to go. But Bucky is very protective of the information about how he died because it was so traumatic and terrible. Right. But Steve kind of picks up on that and kind of like, the Grinch's heart grows a couple of sizes through Steve's sort of kindness, and they're clearly warming up to each other, and Bucky's happy to not be lonely in a fun way. Like, he's like, you get used to being alone, and I'm meant to be alone clearly because I can't leave the house, but Steve sort of like warms him up, and he's like, all right, I guess it's okay. Yeah. And that's really sweet. So they get to a point where they realize that Sarah can see Bucky's form And that is worrisome because Steve had been trying to sort of like phase out of Sarah seeing him because he was like, she's a foster kid. Like, they had made a deal. Steve and Bucky had made a deal where Bucky would leave the kid alone, but he could kind of do whatever he wanted to the adults, who are Natasha and Sam, which is also very cute. And that had been working. They had kind of like started having feelings for each other. Oh, I'm skipping ahead a little bit. So they attempt to have ghost sex.
Yep.
So while they're in this stasis of Bucky is, he's haunting the adults, but not Sarah. They're coexisting to the best of their ability. Their feelings grow. Steve and Bucky's feelings grow for each other. And it heads towards like being a relationship very quickly, which is kind of funny. But Steve is not solid, nor very not solid. And Bucky, I think, is a little bit more solid, or has, I don't know, a greater grasp of becoming vaguely solid.
Yeah.
I didn't get why Steve had issues with falling through things.
I think the implication is because Bucky is a kind of poltergeist, and poltergeists have that like innate ability to like fuck with the material world, like
True.
Opening doors and like flipping chairs and that
Throwing
kind of
books.
stuff. Yeah. Whereas Steve's is more like, protecting, like moving things away.
Fair. So they, move towards kissing, and as when Bucky goes in for the first kiss, he like falls through Steve basically, because Steve was like, oh, I'm sorry, like I wasn't focusing on being solid enough for that. And Bucky's like, does that mean I'm gonna have to give you a 10-second warning every time I kiss you? And Steve's like, what, are you gonna do it often enough that it's gonna be a problem? And so it's very funny. And they, things escalate in the spirit world of sexuality. They go to have sex and stuff, and it's funny because like they have a good time because Steve is focusing so hard on making sure that his butt is solid that he doesn't remember that the rest of him needs to be solid, so he falls halfway through a wall during the act, and Bucky's like, what the fuck? And Steve finds it hilarious, so they're just like, it's very fun and very joyful, which is such a departure from how Bucky died, and like it's so wonderful. So they're having this great time, and Bucky's like, I'm living on stolen time, like I know this, but I'm going to enjoy every second of it. And eventually the day comes where Steve is like, you have to get rid of the family. You have to make sure that they go. And Bucky's like, no, don't do this to me. Like, why? And we can make it work. It'll be okay. And Steve is like, no. Sarah can see you, and she can see you more often than I am used to her being able to see me. And I think that multiple presences being around her is making both of us more corporeal to her, more visible. And it's one thing to have an 8-year-old with an imaginary friend who keeps her safe and whatever, like people are going to think that's cute or something to do with her being a foster kid. If she starts seeing you and your missing arm and your anger and all that stuff, that's not cute. Like, she's going to get sent back. Like, it's going to be a problem for her, and I have to protect her from that.
Right. Like, he's nervous that they're going to start thinking that she has like mental problems or something. And also I think what prompts Steve to bring this to Bucky is he overhears Natasha and Sam talking about a drawing that Sarah had made, wherein she drew this man without the arm. And at this point, we have heard Natasha and Sam like talking about what happened in the house. Like, they called the realtor after they kept getting haunted. And that's kind of how Steve and the audience find out, oh, like, there was a very violent murder. Yeah.
I do wish that murder had been tagged.
Yeah, I was thinking that too when it happened. It was a lot more, it kind of blindsides you because the rest of the fic is like, I won't say it's like lighthearted, but it's like, it's you think you know what you're in for, and then it just happens, and it's very graphic.
It is very graphic, and it's very different from how he lost the arm in the movie and in the comics. So just a trigger warning for anybody who is particularly it's domestic violence basically. And I won't go too deep into the details for the purposes of triggering, but I do wish it had a tag for that. What I had assumed would happen is that he was a veteran which is often what sort of how they redo a Bucky AU is like, you know, he loses his arm in an IED or something like that, and then that's why he's angry, but that is not at all how it went.
No.
Yeah, basically his boyfriend was responsible for his murder, and it was a little blindsidey, but you know, Steve's argument here is like, we have to get her out of here before this escalates and they start being concerned about her, and then it's, you know, this placement won't stick and all that kind of stuff. Like, she's finally kind of happy and settled.
Yeah.
I have to keep her that way. And Bucky's like, are you trying to get rid of me? Like, I don't want to do that and all that kind of stuff. But he's like, okay, fine. And so he escalates, haunting them until they finally have to move out, and they do move out. And when, you know, the sort of, you're really upset about it because you're like, oh no, they're gonna, you know, like, Bucky was finally happy and he deserved so much beautiful happiness, and then Steve literally just like poofs back into his life in the last paragraph, and Bucky's like, you're here, and Steve's like, yeah, I'm here. And Bucky's like, you're not with Sarah, and Steve's like, yeah, I know, I just kind of poof am here, and I guess she doesn't need me anymore. And it's real cute. It's
adorable.
It's very adorable. And Bucky's like, you want to not live here with me? And Steve's like, yeah, asshole, I do. And that's the end of the fic. And they spend an afterlife time together.
Yay.
As happy little gay spirits.
Love it. Dead dorks in love.
Yeah, it was very, very cute. So that was a somewhat back and forth version of the summary, but I didn't take notes, so you get what you get.
And you don't get upset.
No, and I had a great time. I don't know if you could tell by my tone. The only thing that I really like made note of and was like frustrated by was the lack of the warning about how Bucky died, because I did think that needed to be sort of whatever. It does say in the archive warning at the top that the creator chose not to use archive warnings, so from that perspective it is what it is, but I don't know, I think it would have been fair, because it says past violence, but it doesn't specify the type of violence, and it feels a little out of character with the rest of the fic, just like you were talking about.
It's a jarring like turn. It's
also like written out.
Like absolutely, like they tells, like, it's
a flashback. Like, it's basically you read what happened to Bucky, and I'm like, oh, this is dark.
And I thought it was like, because again, we first hear it from Sam and Natasha when they're talking, like, we overhear the story about what happened to Bucky, and you're like, oh, that in itself, I was like, oh, that's a bummer, like, that's bad. But then, like, they have the moment where Steve asks Bucky, and Bucky tells him the story, and then it triggers that flashback, and I was like, ooh, ouchies.
I think it could have done without it, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I think with Natasha and Sam telling the story, and what's actually kind of interesting is that Bucky has a moment of, like, Natasha, I think Sam says something along the lines of, like, oh wow, like, you know, I can't believe this happened here or whatever. Do you really think this place is haunted? And Natasha's like, if that happened to me, I'd haunt the fuck out of the place too. Like, I'd be pissed. So Natasha has a moment of sympathy with Bucky that Bucky is kind of like taken a little bit aback by. It doesn't change his purpose or anything, but there is a moment of like, huh. And I think really all you needed was for him to then describe, maybe like talk through it with Steve. I didn't think we needed the flashback.
No, we didn't.
So if that is something that's going to be triggering to you, it's in italics, so I think you can pretty reasonably skip over it. But just a heads up that it's not tagged and it's in there. Other than that, this was a delightful romp. I really loved Steve falling through the wall because he was so focused on not letting his butt go.
It was so funny. And like the way that they go into that incident too is like they say they have trouble. It was like the first time they have sex, Steve has trouble staying hard.
Yeah.
And I was like, excuse me?
I forgot about that.
And then it happens and you're like, ah.
It's so funny. And it's also funny because Bucky's like, I made that joke. And he's like laughing to himself for having made that joke.
I always love when like...
It's a good joke.
I love when they add like laughter in sex scenes. Like I think it's a new level of intimacy.
Yeah.
And I was happy to see it here.
It was great. So yeah, thank you for sending this one. This was
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I definitely have gotten back to my MCU trash roots. And anything involving Bucky I'm happy about. Steve I'm happy about. Nice. So this was a good time. I would give this like a 3.8.
That's great.
Yeah.
Love that.
It was really good. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. That sounds good and
well
fair.
Done, team.
Good job.
I also loved how short it was.
Yeah, can I imagine?
Oh.
When I tell you the relief I felt when I went into the spreadsheet and saw the length of your fix, I was like,
yeah,
excellent.
We had the same thought.
Yeah, we were on the same page.
No. And I actually did have to reread Fix this time to send you, so I was like, I almost sent you like a 12 chapter thing. I was like, none of us want to do this. No one wants that right now.
This is not the year.
No.
Not the season.
No. We've been through enough.
It's true.
So, yeah, the length of this fic is also perfect if you're looking for just kind of like a quick bite.
Yeah. like an afternoon, like, I want something good.
But it's also not lacking in substance for being so short, which I think can sometimes be the case where somebody writes something that's short and you're like, I want more of this. I actually think I got the exact right amount of this fic.
I agree. Yeah.
I love that it was just sort of this like couple months period and it went really well, and then it ended on a very cool like clean break.
Yeah.
Where I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything
good
or it dragged
resolution.
on. Yeah. Exactly. It was perfect. So good length. Hooray.
Yeah. I guess now it is my turn.
It is indeed your turn. That is how this works.
Wow, it's been a second.
It has.
Okay. So, Aaron sent me a fic titled Let Me Be Yours. It is written by Wildisms, an archive of our own, and this is in the Umbrella Academy TV show fandom.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Hey.
I was like, wow.
Uh-huh.
I've never seen it.
Yep.
No one's surprised.
Also needs to be a t-shirt. Never seen it.
With just a TV that's off. Because
Yeah.
that's my
It's
television
unplugged.
at home. It's unplugged. Oh, man. And it's between Klaus Hargreaves and Dave Katz. The summary reads, Klaus's body shook as Dave's spirit entered him, pushing his own soul into the metaphorical backseat, his body no longer entirely his own. It was an odd feeling, but not a bad one. He had been ready for the intrusion, to be an observer through his own eyes. If he prepared, if he relaxed, if he trusted enough, the intimacy of it was actually kind of enjoyable. It was strange, the similarities between possession and penetration. Wow, Dave murmured, but it was Klaus's voice that came out. Dave possesses Klaus. It turns out possession isn't so bad under the right circumstances. Yeah, that's straightforward and to the point.
It says what it says.
It's what's on the tin. And
I forgot I sent you this.
were you explaining an entirely different fic?
No, but I forgot how sexual it is.
I wasn't. Let me tell you, I wasn't surprised. I saw this and I was like, that checks out for an Aaron fic.
It is my gift to you.
Thank you. We could all use some holiday smut, I think.
I think so.
Yeah, so I not only have I not seen this one, but sometimes I feel like we have new fandoms that I know enough about to get by. Like I have heard from other people, I've read articles or stuff like that. The Umbrella Academy is one that I have not really heard anything about other than like a very like surface level this like premise. So I was like intrigued. And then after I spent a good like 45 minutes on the wiki reading
Thank you, internet.
Yep, reading catching up on everything, I was like, wow, that sounds like a nightmare. I never want to watch that show.
It's funny because it's based on a comic book by Gerard Way of My Chemical Romance.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. And I think it really succeeds as a comic book adaptation. It does sound, I think, a lot darker, and it seems a lot darker than it is. It has an element of, I don't know how to, it's sort of like whimsy. It's like dark whimsical. I hate the word whimsical now because of the magicians. It's a whole thing. But it is sort of like whimsical in a weird, in a dark way.
And funnily enough, I would say that in my head, having never seen either of these shows.
So speaking from zero
experience, I would say that like the magicians and the Umbrella Academy share like a tone, probably.
Yeah, I think the magicians wound up skewing darker.
Yeah, it did get darker.
But yeah, I think that's fair. They have a similar sort of starting point.
Yeah, I guess that's what I would say.
Yeah.
So I read all of Klaus's like backstory and Dave's, and I was like, devastating.
It's upsetting.
I need them to stop killing our queers. Stop it. Really. Stop it.
It is deeply upsetting.
Oh, sorry. Spoiler warning. Spoilers.
Is it a spoiler at this point? Or can we just assume that canon queers will be dead?
Is it coming back? Is there another season of this coming?
I think so.
Oh, I guess I feel like it's been a while, but maybe this second season
it has been a while, but I'm pretty sure another season's in the works.
Nice.
I hope so.
Yeah. So yeah, this is exactly what it says on the tin. There's not really an overarching like storyline. There's not like events that progress, but it's told like it's a night between Klaus and Dave, and the conceit here is that Klaus is using his powers to manifest like the spirit, the ghost of Dave.
Yep.
And he's able to do it to the point where like Dave is basically alive. Like Klaus can touch him, people can see him, like have conversations on his own being, which I was shaken by. I was like, this man, Klaus, must be so fucking powerful that he's able to just manifest like a physical, a corporeal. I can't say that. I struggle with that word.
It's a hard word to say.
he makes a person. He makes a human like constantly.
Yeah.
Wild to me.
What's really funny is that the show doesn't get into it too much, but apparently in the comic books it's clear that Klaus is an extremely powerful person. And in the show he's like a hot mess of a person, right? So he's constantly self-medicating because he has this power that is horrific.
Yeah.
Where it's like he communes with the dead. Like he sees the dead everywhere and they can tell that he can see them. So he is constantly trying to like dull his senses for the first like he's on drugs of all varieties and types. He's like he played by the Robert Sheehan, who is absolutely incredible as this character, and like you just pity him so much because you understand it's clearly coming from trauma, but he's like deeply addicted to drugs and alcohol and really struggles. But you also know that if he put his mind to it and if he chose to, develop these powers, it would be insane.
Yeah.
And he is the reason that we can still see one of the other siblings, one of the other characters, Ben.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Ben died when they were kids.
Right.
And Klaus is the only one who can see Ben and talk to him. And Ben has stuck around to be sort of Klaus's sidekick. And it's kind of a thing in the show. And a lot of the conventions that the fic is taking about, creating, like giving body to a dead spirit comes from Ben and Klaus in the show. Because there's a moment where Klaus sort of channels Ben and Ben possesses him. And it's like a whole thing. So a lot of the sort of mechanics are like extrapolated from stuff that happened in the show, but they're not direct parallels.
Yeah, I got that a lot. The fic calls back to like, oh, the time with Ben, or this is different from Ben. Yeah, so I was able to get that context. But again, floored. Yep. I was if I have this power, can I find myself like an old timey boyfriend?
Oh my god!
Just make my own boyfriend.
And also, it's important to know that Klaus met Dave in Vietnam.
Yeah.
In the short version of that story, is Klaus accidentally time traveled to Vietnam, fell in love with Dave on the battlefield, and then Dave died. Yeah. And Klaus came back to the modern time and was absolutely devastated. I've never been as upset at a TV show as the moment when Klaus comes back, and what's wild is you know exactly what happened before he says a word, and before they tell you what happened, you know what happened. And because they have him accidentally time travel out of a bus, and he's got the suitcase that takes you to whatever date, and when they pan over to the suitcase that's now on the ground, it says 1968 or so, and then pretty much the next scene he's back in the bus covered in blood, in fatigues, holding the suitcase again, just completely dead in the face.
Chills.
And I've never been so, I knew exactly where he was. I knew what had happened. I didn't know this whole story.
Sure.
But you could just tell. I was like...
it was visceral.
It was so upsetting. And it was so well done. I was upset. The costume designer in particular deserves a fucking Oscar for that moment because it was so evocative of exactly what you knew. It was wild. So that context is helpful too. Dave is not just some random spirit that he's like hunky dead boy. It's specifically like his boyfriend from the Vietnam War.
Sure. All right.
Sorry, that's okay. I have a lot of context to share. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking now.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a pretty straightforward fic. It's Klaus and Dave hanging out one night, and then Klaus brings up the possibility of Dave possessing him, and Dave is like, well, if you would like to try, I am down. It's very sweet. Dave is very much like whatever you would like, but then when they get down to it, you know, he's good.
He's into it.
Yeah, he's into it. And Klaus is like, I think I do. Like, I want to feel closer to you. I think that we should give it a shot. And Dave was like, okay, well, if you're sure, and like, when do you want to do it? And Klaus was like, why not now? We're already talking about it.
Time is fleeting.
Oh my god. Yeah, so then Dave possesses Klaus, and they have like the first thing they do is they go in, have a shower, because this is a new experience to Dave, wherein, like, you know, he's not actually alive. No, as powerful as Klaus is, like, there's still limitations to how much Dave can feel on, like, his quote unquote skin, etc. So being in Klaus's body and being able to feel like the hot water and like the cool tiles under his feet, like, that's a very it's like
sensory overload.
Thank you. Yeah, sensory. Yeah. Like, it's such a sensory experience. Yeah, and then they jerk off in the shower, and then have like a moment of aftercare in bed where Dave finally leaves Klaus's body, and then they cuddle and have kind of like a moment where they discuss that. So that is the basic shoestring plot. That's what happened in this fic. But oh my god, like, the description, like, it was so well done. The sensory overload, the feel. I was in that shower with them. I was like, ooh, yes, the feel of the water, and like the attention paid to like every sensation that a person who doesn't have senses anymore might feel was wonderful. I thought it was great. And they also they put a lot of attention to Klaus, how Klaus is feeling inside, because again, as we mentioned, canonically Ben possesses Klaus at a point in the show, and in the fic it talks about how Klaus was exhausted and it felt like too crowded, and like he sometimes had to like fight to not be, you know, shoved aside in his own body. But then that's a completely different experience than he has with Dave, where like it feels like, you know, like they're sharing like actual, like he's happy to step aside. And I thought that the description of it was so beautiful. And there's the line that I teared up. I was like, oh no. It was the like,
Soft Boy Alan has made an appearance.
Yeah, it was a moment where, here, let me find it, because I was beside myself. I was This isn't pressure. I'm not pressured.
There's a key change.
Loved it. Oh god. Okay, hang on. Let's be smart about this, Alan. Okay, here it is. Yeah, oh my god, so many times I'm like looking at something and I was like, god, I just really want to like open a new tab and do something in the air. So he says, so Dave says, oh my god, I can feel you. He could feel Dave too, a weird swirling of emotions that weren't his. Those nerves, that cautiousness, that wasn't him, but he felt them anyway. More than any of that, though, he felt love. He'd known Dave loved him, but knowing and feeling were not the same, and feeling it for himself was almost too much. It was real. Dave loved him just as much as he loved Dave. And I was like,
Alan melted into a puddle of goo.
I mean,
Alan was no longer corporeal.
Here's the thing. That is such a, like, I feel like that's an emotion that every human being in the world wants. Like, because someone can tell you they love you, and you can, and you can believe them, but there will always be a limit to that.
Right.
And to have that limit not exist in this fic, for them to have taken that opportunity to like actually explore like knowing, like feeling someone else's beautiful, gorgeous. I was
Incredible.
like, oh,
yep.
It was wonderful. And yeah, the rest of the fic is very much like that, where like it's all full of love and warmth and like affection, and you feel so taken care of. And I was like, of course Aaron's on that.
Of course it is.
Of course. And even
all right, I've been seen. It's cool.
I get it. I was like, Aaron loves like that like taking care of someone, the like affection.
Is there a magician's fic with the exact same conceit? You bet your ass there is.
Welcome to our new segment. Is there a magician's fic for that?
There is, where they literally share a consciousness. Oh
my god.
I didn't send that one to you though.
I appreciate it because this was lovely. I thought this was great. And so at the end of the fic, or after they're done jerking off in the shower, Dave comes out, and Klaus, as wonderful as it was, Klaus is like fucking like exhausted. He feels wrung out. He like all his energy is sapped, and he's like, a puddle essentially. Mm-hmm. And so then you get this lovely moment where like they are cuddling in bed, and Dave, they're just touching base about what happened, and
it's aftercare.
It's beautiful. I was like, this is what a lovely thing. I was thinking about this as from the point of view of someone, like, if I was imagining, I was like, if I had seen this show, I would have been devastated. Like that scene that you described, I had chills, Aaron. If I had witnessed with my own peepers that scene you were talking about, I would not exist. I would be just dead,
non-corporeal.
Yeah, exactly.
Toast. Yeah, it was gut-wrenching. That was the scene that got me on the show too.
Yeah,
that was it. I was like, once saw that, I was like, I'm on this ride.
And I knew it. Like, I knew from reading it, I was like, I know how traumatizing that scene must have been to people watching, or to any like queer person, or any person with feelings, really. How fucking devastating and traumatizing. And to have a fic like this that kind of gives you, like, it's like a little healing salve, like you feel like warm. And I was like, oh, okay, this is nice this is kind of the healing power of fanfic that we always talk about, like getting that happy ending that like is just so wonderful. I thought it was great. I had a great time.
You're like, I had a great time sobbing into my pillow.
Yes, for different reasons.
Oh, no.
It was a Tuesday. Yeah. I couldn't fall behind.
We're going down on a Tuesday. We are not going up. No.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Hooray.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Very well done.
I had completely forgotten what I sent you before right now.
As it goes. To be fair, also, like, to be very fair, you put that fic in our spreadsheet at a sensible time in early October, and I did not read it until early December. So this is not on you. This is on me.
We planned this ghost episode for Halloween, and here we are.
Yeah,
it's been a while since I've read it.
It got rough. I had a rough October, everyone.
Oh boy, same.
Yeah.
I think all of us just can be like, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's fine.
We're at a point now after after 2020, everyone's like, oh, you had a rough time. That's fine.
That's fine.
We get it. The world's ending. Nothing matters.
Yeah, we're living through the end times.
Yep.
How should I expect us to adhere to deadlines? Deadlines are meaningless.
It's true.
Yep. Anyway, what would you rate this fic of mine that I sent to you? I didn't write it, but
you wrote this?
No,
oh
it's
my
not
god!
Mine, but my recommendation to you.
I would probably give it a 4.3. Yeah, and here's the thing: is I can't. It isn't that I can fault anything. Like, I don't think that it's technically, like, there isn't anything that detracts points. I think the only thing it's, it's short and it, like, takes place. It's a contained story, which is wonderful, and I think is what it was set out to do. But I would have wanted, like, a little, like, a little spice, a little drama, a little conflict. But that's not on the fic. I think that's just, like, my own expectation of the thing.
I think we've talked about this before, the difference between fic that is like trying to do something narratively, like it has like a conflict and it's kind of like following that narrative structure, versus a fic that is interested in like exploring the world further, and it's not actually about telling a new story.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's almost like an episode tag kind of, but it's more just like, I really like this world and want to play around in it.
Yeah.
And that's really what this is. There's there's no there's no impulse to be like, and then Klaus has to figure out blah blah. Like, no, that's not what this is. It's just I want to play around with these characters.
Very slice of life-ish. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I thought it was wonderful, and I think that the way that they explored all of, like, it took the conceit of his powers and of the show. It took all of the stuff that canon set out for you and, like, made something really, really beautiful and, like, with such an emotional depth that I was like, that's incredible. Yay. So good. Yeah.
If you do decide to watch the TV show, let me know. I don't feel like you will.
I'm putting it out there. Not for me.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
It's great. I think you would have a fun time, but you'd have to watch it in short bursts.
Yeah.
You'd have to just sort of pace yourself on that one.
Yeah.
Very fun. Well, that was Halloween.
Yeah, we did it.
We did it. And now on to Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Which is kind of what it feels like happened in real life.
It's true. Yeah, November flew by. Yeah. I blinked and it was gone.
Yeah, which, like, I'm not complaining about, because Thanksgiving has become one of my lesser holidays.
Yeah.
I really love Halloween because, like, it's spooky season. I love Pride 2 Electric Spookaloo. Thanksgiving, just, like, over the course of time, you can't separate it from the capitalist and colonialism lie that it is. It's predicated upon. And the longer time goes on, it's like, are we just gonna, like, accept that this is trash?
Should we just call it, like, Turkey Day or something? Should we do something different on this day?
Should we just not do this anymore? And, like, my family's all, like, living in different places now, so it's like, whatever, we get, like, the people together who just, like, fight the whole time. Like, I don't know if turkey's worth this, man. Like, it's just hard.
I don't know if it's worth
it. But it's like one of those things where, like, you're just sitting on eggshells the whole time, and, like, truly mashed potatoes I don't think are worth it. I can make mashed potatoes at home, like, I don't have to do that. So speed running into Christmas, which, while not my favorite holiday, is slightly different, I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. November's always interesting for me because so it's Thanksgiving, and then usually a week beforehand is my birthday. And then 9 days before that, it's my brother's birthday. 7 days before that, it's my mom's birthday. So it's like this weird...
What happened 9 months before?
Valentine's Day.
Ah, fuck. Yeah, I was like, what? I was like, we've all done this.
Yeah, we all have. If you have not, you're missing out. Just count 9 months back from when you were born and see what occasion conceived you.
Yeah, I was definitely a spring
cleanie.
It was like spring has sprung. Have a kid.
Amazing.
Gross.
Yeah, so I'm always just really stressed about November because I'm like, my birthday's coming up. I've got to plan things. Oh, I've got to find my mom's gift. Oh, I've got to find my brother's gift.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot. Yeah. Wow. I'm thrilled with that number, that rating, just so you know, because I was not expecting to be that high, particularly because you had no idea of the fandom, and I was like, perhaps this will not read. But that is very exciting.
I try to come to new fandoms with an open heart and an open mind.
Meanwhile, I'm like, no.
Change.
I hate it. Don't make me learn new names. I don't wanna.
Wow. So exciting.
So yeah, we are on to Christmas. Should I go first, or do you want to go first? Should we just alternate?
I feel like... I don't know. That's too many decisions
Good
to
talk.
be made by me. I can't make a decision.
Great, I'll go. I'll talk about yours.
Thank you.
Sure. Great. So, we should announce the tag. We're just willy-nilly just talking.
It's not just Christmas.
It's not just Christmas. We've done that.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
It's been done.
Yeah. So our tag for this year, I was so excited about, is Secret Santa.
Ooh.
Yes. Who doesn't love a Secret Santa moment?
I know. Oddly enough, the origin of our podcasting journey.
Oh, so...
Yeah.
I hadn't connected those dots.
I connected them. And that's the unsolved. We're done.
Well, thanks for joining us, everyone.
Yeah. It's come full circle. We can end here. No, yeah. Again, for those who don't know the Fic List lore, the original podcast, the spooky podcast that we did, was born out of a Secret Santa gift. A very elaborate Secret Santa gift for a very elaborate Secret Santa at the workplace that we used to work at that had a very ridiculous Secret Santa process.
It's true. They don't do it anymore?
Oh, that's probably for the best. It was emotionally damaging.
I loved it.
It was very intense. So the short version of this story is basically you would have a week that you were responsible for gifting for your Secret Santa. And the spending limit was $10. So put a bunch of theater kids in a like very broke, give them $10, and you have to have a present every day for a week. What happens? Chaos. So people would come up with stuff that was free, but that was like very elaborate. Yeah. It was a culture of getting like bigger and bigger every year. And so one year, like, we did a fake snowball fight for somebody who missed snow.
Yeah.
We did like dance parties. Our friend Angel was like, my Secret Santa really likes My Favorite Murder. We're going to do a Spooky Things podcast, like, especially for them. And that's how we all started podcasting together. Mm-hmm. And then at the holiday party, which was on the Friday, you had to get up in front of the entire company and try to guess who your Secret Santa was. And it was a whole process. And that was when you presented your final gift, which was usually the biggest thing. And, like, it was very stressful. There was an email account that you could use.
Oh, it's true. A Secret Santa
yeah,
email.
It was Secret Santa. And you could use that email account to like send asks to other people in the company for their assistance or like get information from your Secret Santa. And
I forgot how elaborate it was.
Too much.
I loved it. I loved every second of it.
It was so much.
Loved it.
But it was very fun, and it was a good time, and lots of joy was had by all. I think the thing that was hard is that the expectation was to be grandiose and sort of like very public, and there were many of us who were not comfortable with that kind of thing. So sometimes if you got a person, if you as a gift giver were like really excited about that, but your recipient was not, or vice versa, it could be kind of upsetting.
I agree.
Like, I was very grateful the years when I got somebody who matched my energy. That was when it was like the best. So in terms of tags for Secret Santa, what were you looking for? What did you love? What was the joy?
I was really looking for fics wherein a person picked someone else's name out of a hat and then had to give them gifts. And in turn, someone that they didn't know gave them gifts.
Wow. I'm so glad you understand the conceit of Secret Santa, you little shit.
Yeah, that was. I had no like expectations. I love
you were
Christmas.
Just here for the ride.
I love Secret Santa. I think it's so fun in my head. And I hear all of the things that you're saying and I agree. But I think I was stoked when you said that you wanted to do that. I was like, perfect. Also,
I didn't have another tag to suggest, so
as a little background, I sent Aaron like 3 options. I was like, how about this, or how about this? But they were all options I had already researched and had found some options for, because I was like, I'm not going to be found with my dick in my hand again.
You're like, I played myself once.
No, never again.
That's really funny.
Yeah. So did you have any like specific things that you were looking for in a Secret Santa?
I had previously read it. It was in my bookmarks, and the tag was Secret Santa. Those were the parameters.
Perfect.
Was vaguely coherent. Those were the goals. I do enjoy, there comes a time of year where it's like, it's much like Christmas music. After Thanksgiving is over and we're heading into the Christmas time and people start posting their little fluffy Christmas stuff, I'm excited about it. I'm here for it. I want there to be like dumb Hallmark movies in fic form with characters that I think should kiss. I'm about it. So I had several of those saved from previous years. I knew that for sure. And then I sent you none of the ones that I had previously saved. And then I found another one because if you look at our schedule of episodes, dear Alon,
I am looking at it.
I did not repeat fandoms.
God damn you. God damn you, Aaron. You beat me to it by like a minute. In fact, I was waiting for you to finish this dialogue you were going on. I was like, all right, I've got to mention. Yeah, I'm proud. Granted, this is a shorter season than we intended.
Hey, we wasn't half. We take the wins.
But listeners, I want to point out that this season, Aaron did not repeat a fandom once. The Magicians had one fic.
Yep.
And that was it. And you know what? I was so proud when I looked at this, when you're at the last 2 fics, I was like, oh, Aaron did it. Wow. Yeah. And then we look over at mine and listen, maybe there was a crutch. maybe the MCU really made an impact this year for me.
Yeah, that's fair. To be also, your MCU, it was only 2 Stucky.
Yeah, it was 2
out
Stucky.
of 3,
Yeah.
which is pretty good. I almost sent MCU for this tag because all of my Secret Santa stuff was MCU. And that's why I was like, went through the whole thing. Also just like the volume of fic available to us in the MCU is vast. So I was like, of course. And then I decided intentionally not to use any of the stuff that I had bookmarked, went searching, and chose a fandom that I don't read a lot of fanfic for, but a show that I know really well.
Yeah.
So that's where I went with it.
And I think, well, let's segue into talking about it. So what you sent me is a fic entitled All I Want for Christmas Is You. It was so hard to not just burst into song there. Did you catch that? All I want. So good. It's not Christmas season until I hear that song in my head.
That's true.
But I digress.
And then you hear it 17 times a day and you're like, I'm going.
And you love every moment.
Oh, we have different experiences. I really like to sing that song aggressively at my mother in the car. Otherwise, I'm over it.
I love it. It's such a fun time. Right. So this fic is entitled All I Want for Christmas Is You. It's written by Christy Lynn, and it is on Archive of Our Own. It is The Good Place fic, and it's a pairing of Tahani and Eleanor. Mm-hmm. And I have seen this show, not fully. Mm-hmm. One of my old roommates was working their way through it, and I saw probably, I think it has 3 or 4 seasons, and I think I saw about 2.
You should finish it.
I've heard it's devastating.
It is. It's rough.
Yeah,
but it's so beautiful.
That's what I've heard, and I don't know that I can do the existential end that I go for it. I'm like, I don't know that I want to.
Ooh, do you want me to talk about it or no?
No, I think some point I probably will go back because I what I saw of it I loved. It's so good.
Listeners, if you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
Ooh.
I do not.
Yeah, it is worth. And also, if you haven't seen that show, I would argue it's a perfect show.
From what I've seen, I would agree. Yeah. I think it's so good. It's so well done, and it's so smart. Yeah. So I was ecstatic when I saw that you submitted this. I was like, The Good Place fic? Yes. I was ecstatic. So sorry. The summary to this fic reads, it's Christmas time in the bad place and Eleanor realizes she loves Tahani. Yes.
End of summary.
Done. This was also short. I think it's the shortest of the fics we sent.
It is indeed, because I had to find it.
And the plot, again, very bare bones here, is that they're in the bad place. And what is her name? This I didn't see. I don't recognize. Oh, Vicky. I don't think I saw an episode with Vicky.
Yeah.
So Vicky is forcing the friend group.
She's a demon.
To do Secret Santa, presumably to torture them, and then there's going to be a big reveal, kind of like what Aaron was talking about, at the end of this huge party that Vicky's throwing.
Yep.
And so Eleanor gets Tahani, and has already picked out a beautiful dress for her, and is like, all right, we're set. Tahani will love this dress. And then she's talking to Chidi, and Chidi's having this moment of panic because he's like, I don't know what to get Jason. And Eleanor's just like, well, he likes the Fast and Furious movies. Why don't you just book him a marathon on a big screen and call it a day, And Chidi's like, that's not personal. Your Secret Santa gift has to have some meaning to it. It has to come from the heart or whatnot. It can't just be something that's here you go, I know you like jelly beans, here's some jelly beans.
Yeah. Which
different folks have different ideas of what constitutes a good gift, shall we say.
I'm always happy to get something for somebody I know that they will like.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
It
depends on the person.
Here's the other thing. Here's something I've noticed. This is a total sidebar thing, but I didn't realize that one of my love languages is gift giving, because I find myself whenever I'm out and about and I see something. I just looked over. I was like, I brought Aaron these Pete Seeger records that I found at a sale somewhere. I was like, oh, I know Aaron really likes Pete Seeger. I don't know if she has these, but I'll take them with me because they were really cheap. And that's kind of the way I operate with like gifts, is that if I'm out and about and I see something, I was like, oh, I know that XYZ likes this, maybe I'll grab this for them. Then that's how I operate. But when there's pressure, when it's a Christmas gift or when it's like a birthday gift, I fall apart. I forget everything that person likes. I'm like, I saw Erin drink water once, I'll get her this water bottle.
It's like when someone asks you what your favorite song is and suddenly you've never heard music in your entire life.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just like, I don't know.
No.
Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
I remember enjoying that one in kindergarten.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really like 5 songs in one because it's also the alphabet song.
That's true.
Isn't that smart?
I love the versatility.
Yeah, just like break.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So in that vein, Eleanor kind of has a moment where it's like, oh, so now I have to try and like make it a little more personal. And so she asks Janet for like some woodworking tools, and she makes like a personalized wooden frame. And I'm trying. It's like wood burning. It's like wood burns like a nice saying to it, and it looks really pretty. And so she asks Janet to pull up like she's like, I need a picture of Tahani and I. And Janet is like, all right, here's like these 30,000 possible. 6,000 possible pictures. And Eleanor's like, okay, let's filter out all the pictures where Tahani looks weird. And nothing changed, which is really funny. And then Eleanor's like, all right, can we filter out the pictures where I look weird? And it goes from 6,000 to 300. And I was like, brutal, but hilarious.
It is the bad place after all.
Yep. And so she's looking through these like pictures to try and find one to put in the frame. And she's like, huh. I look like I'm trying to like she's like, I have this look in my face like I am trying to get with Tahani in some of these. And she's like, all right, Janet, filter out all the pictures where I look like I want to bang Tahani, and all the pictures disappear.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I love her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how she figures it out, which is so Eleanor.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it's
I was
very
like,
in keeping with the character.
I thought it was like, here I had this moment while I was reading, I was like, that seems a little too simple. And then I thought about it, I was like, but you know what is in character? It feels like this would be how Eleanor figures it out.
Do you know who has very simple needs? Eleanor Shellstrop.
Yeah, it's true. And so once she figures out that she's in love with Tahani, she freaks. She's like, oh God, I can't, like, now how am I going to like face her? And so she gives Tahani the dress instead of the personalized gifts, because she's like, I can't, that's too personal. Like giving a gift to someone that I love, and they're gonna know.
Wait.
And so we cut to the party. Tahani is like, oh, you know, why you can't look me in the face? Why are you avoiding me? And so Eleanor's like, all right, come here. And like, again, this was very in character with Eleanor's like characterization, but I was like, how is she so brave? She's pulling Tahani out to the side to like tell her, you know, oh, I love you. She's like, I'm just going to face this head on. I was like, she's so brave. Yeah. So brave. So they go off to the side room and they find Jason proposing to Janet, and they're dressed up as Beauty and the Beast.
It's so good.
It's so good. And Eleanor's like, well, I can't fucking follow that up with like, oh, yeah, I love you.
Stole my thunder.
Yep. And so let's see. How does this end?
How all things end.
Oh my God.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't end in death. I'm sorry.
Okay. So Jason and Janet have like stolen the thunder here, and Tahani turns to Eleanor and is like, oh, so, you know, you had something you wanted to tell me. And Eleanor's like, yeah, I was your Secret Santa. I hope you liked your dress. Bye. And then bolts. Whoa. And so Eleanor gets home and then is like thinking about what just went down. And Tahani comes over and is like, you left so quickly. And I have to tell you, I am your Secret Santa.
I love the conceit of they are each other's Secret Santa.
Oh, so good.
It's trash, but I'm Oscar the Grouch. Right. I'm right there in that trash can.
Same. Oh, yeah. And so Tahani gives Eleanor her gift, which looks like a rock in a box, but then you pick it up and on the other side it's actually like a geode, and it's like this, you know, metaphor for like, oh, they look kind of unassuming, but once you crack them open, it's like there's beauty inside, and it's all this really sweet thing. Like Eleanor. And so Eleanor is like, hey, by the way, I love you. And Tahani's like, oh, same.
Yeah.
And then that's the end.
Cool beans. Merry Christmas. Goodbye.
Yep. And that was the fic. Mm-hmm. Very sweet. Very to the point. Mm-hmm. I did want to mention, so if anyone was curious, what Chidi ended up giving Jason was he wrapped a summary of all the Fast and the Furious movies for Jason.
Which is very on brand for our farmer workplace, actually. That is something that would happen there.
Yep. And Jason's response was, dope, bro.
And then Chidi was racked with uncertainty for the rest of the evening, I'm
Truly.
certain. Yeah. It's so fun.
Yeah, I thought this was delightful. It was a lovely little, Christmas fic, which is what you want during the season.
That was the goal.
Yeah, I would say I think, and I've been kind of touching upon it as I was, like, giving the summary, is my only kind of gripe with it is I do think at times it was just so, like, simple.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it was just like, here's the thing. Here you are. This is what they felt.
This is not Shakespeare.
Yeah, there was not
War and Peace.
There was no nuance.
No.
So I was like, I kind of would have liked a little more like, ooh, like a little more something. But again, it fits so well with all of these characters, I feel like. And so it's hard to fault it because it's just like you nailed the characterization.
It's fun. Like, it's just meant to be a fun time.
Yeah, like you can take the dialogue out of this and make a screenplay, and it's an episode.
It could have been, it would have been really cute. And there is sort of like a fanon interpretation that, they kind of leaned into it in the show a little bit, that Eleanor is really into Tahani. So playing with that in this context is fun.
Yeah.
So, like, why not?
Yeah, exactly.
I think Eleanor and Chidi are just like, oh, have you gotten that far in the show?
Yes.
Okay. I was going to be like, nah! What did I do? Eleanor and Chidi to me are like perfect.
Yeah, I
They
agree.
are like an untouchable
I agree.
pairing.
1,000%.
So it felt a little like cheating on them to do an Eleanor and Tahani. But Eleanor and Tahani are fun.
Yeah.
You
it was, when you sent it, so on our spreadsheet, we have like the fandom and the tag, but we don't say like the pairing right on the spreadsheet. So what I first saw was like, oh, it's the Good Place fic. And so in my head, I was like, oh, so it's Chidi and Eleanor. And then it wasn't. And I was like, oh. Yeah. But okay. Yeah. Like, they're such good characters. Like, all of them are such good characters that I wouldn't have minded reading any fic with any of them.
I tried to find one with Eleanor and Chidi, but I couldn't. So
devastating.
Get on that. I know, because someone's got to get on that. There's a dearth of them. That it's an opportunity for the taking.
That's true.
But yeah, I usually don't read fan fiction of The Good Place because it's so perfect.
Yeah.
That unlike with other shows, which will remain nameless, I don't feel the need to like go more into anything or fix anything or like, explore this other aspect of it through fic. I just don't. I was like, this is a perfect thing that can just be, I'm like, I don't need it. Yeah. Which is wild. But yeah, it was sort of fun to pick up one from this one because I was like, okay.
Yeah, I was ecstatic you brought it. I think, again, I had a lovely time. I think it was a good time.
Maybe I'll rewatch that show.
I was just thinking, I was like, do I want to watch The Good Place?
We should watch it. Oh my god.
Yes.
We should. Absolutely. That'll be our between Christmas and Pride break activity. So we'll watch that show together.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and I think I would probably rate it, I'm thinking 3.6.
That's very fair.
Yeah, I had a great time. I think it did justice to the characters, and it accomplished what it set out to do. It's a good time.
I haven't asked for a single brownie point this episode, and I need you to be proud of me.
I think you're doing great.
I need a brownie point for not asking for them.
That's why I've been doing really well. I didn't ask for a treat, so give me a treat.
Yeah, I am the cat that's like, give me the treat. And it's like, no, do the thing. No, treat.
Treat first.
Yeah. No, that is fantastic. I think that is a very lovely rating for this fic. Thank you, Alon.
Yeah, thank you for sending it.
Of course.
And now I guess we should talk about what I sent you.
We should indeed, which is a good return to form, actually, for the two of us. This is a Schitt's Creek fanfiction, which is very on brand and also very delightful. Alan, do you want to talk about your Spotify on?
You're gonna drag me on our podcast
for about 3 years. It was the best. We sent each other our Spotify Unwrapped, and what does Alan have on his top songs?
Yeah, I think it was number 4 or 5. I have Simply the Best as performed by Noah Reading from Schitt's Creek, and
I literally sent you a text like, "Are you okay?" And you were like, "No."
You don't understand the amount of times I have sobbed while playing that song on repeat. It's such
It's upsetting to me how much I understand why that is the way that is for you.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about my YouTube history where I just rewatch the same thing over and over. I'm like, someone will love me one day.
Yep.
It's really bad. But I like all of your songs. It was like Billie Eilish, and then it was like that song, and I was like, Alan's not well.
No,
This is bad.
It was Billie Eilish at the top, and then Olivia Rodrigo.
Yeah.
And then some Conan Gray, then Noah Reading, and then there was another Billie Eilish. So I think if anyone sees that and they're like, oh, this man's not well.
Sad boy Alan. And I was like, oh boy. So
not a happy one in the mix.
Yeah. But the good news is this fan fiction is not sad.
No. Very happy.
Yeah. And as per usual, Schitt's Creek is not very sad. Like, they occasionally glance over a conflict.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they turn right and they're like, it's fine.
Yeah, it worked out.
It's called Stickers of Old Men and 1,000 Yen by Anonymous. The summary: the birthday kiss between David and Patrick didn't happen, and now it's Christmas. What are they going to do when they draw each other in the town's Secret Santa gift exchange? Italics. But a couple of weeks later, Twyla pulled the names, and now he had to find the perfect gift that said, I think you're amazing and sexy and gorgeous and perfect, and I'm half in love with you, and would you please kiss me already? But with, like, a spending limit of $25. Which is so fun. So it's an excerpt summary in reverse.
Yes, I was like, wow. I didn't even notice that when I sent it.
So funny. I don't mind it in this context.
Yeah.
I kind of think it could do without it.
Yeah,
honestly, it could do without the italicized excerpt. But it's fun. Like, it doesn't detract from it overall. The prompt is below it in the notes, and this is one of those ones where it's like there's a prompt from a fandom collection, which is cool, and the prompt is David and Patrick don't get together on David's birthday and have been pining idiots for months. A secret Santa exchange organized by Twyla, rigged by Stevie, gives them a chance to buy/make something that says how they feel when they both get the other person's name. Maybe the rules of the secret Santa are everything must be handmade, or it's over multiple days with clues for guessing the giver. None of that other stuff happened.
Yeah, it's true.
The prompt literally ran with the first sentence.
Yep, done.
And fantastic. Love it. So, of course, the conceit of this, David and Patrick are each other's secret Santa gift givers and receivers, but they don't know this. David is like very upset. He's like, what am I going to do? Because I have head over heels for Patrick. And like, we don't know for sure if he is gay or straight or what. He was like, I'm very open to the possibility that he may not be a straight man. There were sparks in the car, so like, ooh, perhaps chemistry, but like, I don't want to make assumptions, which is very fair. And then Patrick is also very dismayed by his situation because he's like, how am I going to not make it clear that I'm like wildly in love with David Rose? He doesn't even know I'm gay.
Yep.
And they're both morons, and I love them. So Twyla does a secret Santa for the whole town. Patrick does it because he's like, I kind of know everyone who's worth knowing, so why not?
Yeah.
And David does it because he loves Secret Santas and really enjoys giving gifts and is very good at it. And he's like, it's going to be a different ball game than the ones that I used to do in New York, I'm sure. And Patrick's like, what do you mean? And David's like, well, I'm probably not going to get a $600 Versace candle. And Patrick is like holding a $45 candle from the store in his hand and sets it down.
Yep.
And is like, all right, so I'm not going to get him a candle. So they're both it's sort of the parallel tracks happening where David is trying to figure out the perfect gift for Patrick and Patrick is trying to figure out the perfect gift for David. And that's the whole sort of conceit. David thinks for a minute about getting him lube.
Yep.
Because at least it won't go to waste.
Yeah, it's like artisanal lube.
Yeah, but it gets him like too hot under the collar to even think about because he's so into Patrick. So he's like, maybe not. So we're going to not do that. And then Patrick is like, I could get him something, but what am I going to get him that's not already in the store? Because I don't want to get him something from the store. That's shitty.
Yeah.
And so he's like, oh, I could sing. Because in this version of the story, they never did the open mic night.
Yeah.
So, no, it's open mic night.
Which is where he sings.
Is that song?
Yeah, it's the same song.
Oh.
Yeah, so he sings like the pared down acoustic version and then David dances to the original.
So good. Okay, because I always thought about the dancing one and I don't know enough about Mariah Carey to know her songs. I'm so sorry. It's fine. I listen to a lot of Pete Seeger. We're not going to worry about it.
I don't think Simply the Best it's Tina Turner, not Mariah Carey.
I said Mariah Carey because of the
what's
time.
coming up.
Yeah, that and because he says I've only said I love you to like 3 people in my life, my parents and once at a Mariah Carey concert. So I was like, that must be a Mariah Carey song. No.
No.
Nope. I am a dum-dum. It's fine. So what does happen is Patrick decides he's going to sing him Mariah's Christmas classic.
Of course.
All I Want for Christmas Is You. There we go.
Yep.
And so he's like, sure, fine, whatever. David decides that he's going to do a painting for Patrick, and it's very sweet. And it's really, really lovely. And so they get around to reveal day. It's the 23rd. Everyone's supposed to do their thing. And David's a little terse because he's like, where the fuck is my gift?
Yep.
And Patrick is a little like out of it because he's like, this is very stressful. I have set up the back room to be like my little like picnic zone for if this goes well. It's going to be a whole thing. But David keeps like brushing by the door, and like David can tell that there's something going on, so he keeps doing it intentionally, which is like very on brand. But Patrick is like, I'm gonna have a heart attack. And so they get to the end of the day. David has the present sort of tucked away. He's like, I'll give it to him at the end of, like, after we close. It'll be great. So they close, and then David like gives him the painting, and Patrick is very touched by it and really enjoys it, and it's wonderful. Of course, David is like, this is the worst gift on the planet. What have I done? Which we all do. And then Patrick is like, this is incredible. And Dave is like, okay, is this headed where I think it's headed? And then Patrick is like, okay, we're going to the back storeroom. And David is like, I knew something was going on with that room. And Patrick has like cleared out the entire storeroom for a split second. David's like, so you cleaned?
That's my gift?
That's my gift. And Patrick's like, no. So Patrick reassures him because David has the similar freak out from the show about being like, oh, I'm going to have to like pretend to like this.
Yep.
And then Patrick starts singing, and David just like melts and is like, oh yeah, this is the one. That's it. I'm toast. Like a little marshmallow. Yeah. And then it kind of goes out of dialogue and into description for the end. It's very like Hallmark movie. It's very sort of like big sweeping romantic gesture. And David realized, he's like, not only is he singing Mariah Carey, he's singing All I Want for Christmas Is You, which means he loves me, which means I'm going to kiss that face.
Yes.
And so he does. And so they kiss, and it's really, really great, and it's a very beautiful little romantic moment that retelling it can't do justice to. So you should read this fic and enjoy that moment. And it's very sweet. It's very Hallmark.
That episode, the open mic night, is one of the like most beautiful things I've ever seen in my entire life. Like that episode, that scene. Yeah. And so to have essentially taken the conceit of that scene and set it to Christmas instead, I was gone. I was like, absolutely.
Like, I'm
done.
toast. It was so good. The writing was delightful. The characterization was so on point. It was everything I want in a little Christmas fic. And it's very much the like, we're just here to have a good time and like recreate Hallmark tropes, but with queer characters, which, as you know, is my jam. Yeah. That is my thing. So I had a lovely, lovely time reading this. I was very happy to read it yesterday. And I read it quickly. It's a fast read. Yeah. Again, similar to the other one, it feels like the right amount of thick. Like, it doesn't feel like you are rushed through it at all, but it also ends at a point where you're like, okay, great. They're going to go off and have the rest of their relationship. It's going to be awesome. I don't want any more or any less of this. It's going to be fantastic. So, yeah, extremely well done. I would easily give this a 4. Yes. So good. Yeah. There's nothing else to say except to gush over it. Yes. So, very good times were had by all. Particularly David and Patrick, but also Aaron.
Yeah, and Alan.
And Alan.
To be clear.
And we were all happy. The end.
The end. Wow. That was lovely.
That was lovely.
I think we did well on this episode.
We're under an hour and a half recording time, which I don't think we've ever done.
No.
This is a 4-fic episode.
Yeah, no, for 4 fics, absolutely. We've never done that.
No, this is wild. It's a Christmas gift to me.
Christmas miracle.
It is. It's a Christmas miracle. God bless us, everyone. That might get cut.
Maybe.
It probably should.
We'll see how you're feeling in a few days.
Yeah, while I'm editing that. Alan.
Aaron.
'Tis the end of our season.
It is. Wow. It feels like it came out of nowhere.
Heading into the new year, do you have any, I don't know, words of wisdom or love to share with our listeners? Before we run away into our little caverns of cozy blankets? I
don't really. I will tell you is that I think this year I'm not doing any resolutions because I usually I do. Just because I was like, I like the idea of like a new year bringing like some change and like trying to better yourself or trying to like do things that you haven't done before. But I have found it's really exhausting, and it really just adds like pressure to yourself. So, I would say if you do set resolutions, kind of keep an open mind, be generous with yourself, and kind of listen to where you are and what you need. Because I think that your own well-being at any point in time is more important than any arbitrary goal that you have set for yourself.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's good.
What about you?
I don't know.
Same.
I need to spend less money.
Same.
That's my goal, is to not fuck up my financial life so much next year. I every year it's the same goal, and every year I fail. So I don't know, maybe 18th time is the charm. I don't know.
2022, here we come.
I know, really. The only thing that I can say is that I'm trying to balance being grateful for the things that are good in my life while also giving me space to grieve and be upset with the things that are not good.
Yeah.
And that is a hard place to be and a hard thing to do. We kind of joked about it and like talked about it briefly, but you and I have both been going through sort of parallel rough mental health times, which is why we have taken so long to record this episode. My feeling and my hope is that I am on more of an upswing now, which is good. I want to make sure it stays that way.
Yeah.
And part of that is not downplaying the things that I have been experiencing and not doing the thing, because I think for a long time a lot of us do this. It's not unique to me. Is you just kind of grin and bear it, and you remember that could be worse, and then
there's starving kids in Africa.
Well, it's not even that. It's like, I look around and like all these people are going through, like, they've been affected by COVID so much worse than I have.
Yeah,
or
but
like
it's that like mentality.
They still don't have a job, and like I got a job right away after I was laid off, and like it could be worse, it could be worse, it could be worse. And then I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't mean that I am wrong for having a hard time. Yeah,
it doesn't mean that you are in a good place. Like, you are in a bad place. Could it be worse? Sure, but that doesn't negate the bad. And
trying to sort of, I think one of the hard parts about pulling out of a bad place is feeling like you were a fraud in the bad place in the first, to begin with. And then it just spirals kind of back, like it holds you back from moving through it. So my goal for the new year, I'm trying to follow actually more of like the solstice and things like that. And that is more about sort of a closing of a period of time.
Oh, yeah.
And allowing space for rest.
I love that.
That is kind of what I'm focusing on this year, rather than a like, I'm going to like hype beast myself into like, I don't know, going to the gym. I'm not going to go to the fucking gym. Like, it's not going to happen.
Everyone, if this is your resolution, it's not going to happen. Try it in like August or something.
Don't. Also, you don't want to be in the gym in January with other people.
No.
It's the worst time to go to the gym, honestly.
Yeah. Don't do it.
No. This is me telling you to sit down. But like, I am also trying to I'm trying to be more intuitive with what I need and when I need it, and like giving myself space to operate that way, as opposed to trying to like force myself through stuff, which is how I've like gotten to the point where I'm at now, where things just sort of like, it catches up to you eventually.
Yeah, of course.
So that is my hope for the new year, is that we all have the space to like be not okay in an okay way.
I love that. Beautiful. Yeah. Well said.
Yeah, so I should warn you now, that means these episodes are going to be few and far between. That's my segue to be like, we don't know. We do love this podcast.
100,000%. Yeah.
We have every intention of doing wonderful and glorious things with this podcast, and we will be back. We had every intention of having more guests on this episode. That did not happen. I was listening to an older episode from this season. I was like, wow, we were so optimistic. But we would love to have guests next season. We would love to do these things. It's just, I think we at this point need to be honest that the timeline means nothing. Yeah. Deadlines are made up and the points don't matter.
That's 1,000%.
Yeah. So I am very grateful for everybody who has stuck around with us this season and continued to be supportive of this podcast. If you have sent us love, if you have befriended us because of this podcast, just know that you are near and dear to our hearts.
Yes.
If you came to AwesomeCon this year.
Oh my God. Did we even touch about We didn't.
I don't think so.
We should at least talk about it a little bit. I mean, because the last
we got through the fix really fast, so we can just talk now.
Yeah. Welcome to the
the after party.
Love that. Should we have a second spin-off podcast where we just debrief about it?
I think we should.
That's a great idea. We should add more to the plate.
The Fick List After Dark.
I love that.
It's just us, and it's not at all like scandalous. It's just us talking about stuff. So AwesomeCon happened.
AwesomeCon happened in one of the most stressful months of my entire life. I was in the process of moving, and like literally filled out an application August 1st, heard back like August 5th, had to sign a lease, had to do like all the paperwork and like setting up the move, and then in between that was AwesomeCon.
Yeah.
I was stressed out of my mind.
I remember.
Yeah.
Me and Caitlin at one point were like, is he going to be okay? And then we were like, we can't make it be okay.
But you know what? You know what it was? Like, it was a lovely, like, oasis. It was a great step away from, like, from all of that stress. And it was baby's first con for me, at least, because I'd never been. And certainly, you know, of course, first con as a panelist.
Yeah.
Wow. It was wonderful.
It was incredible.
It really, really was like a life-changing experience. It was, you know, everyone we met was so loving and kind and gracious. And I know, oh man, we presented on the Friday. Our panel was the Friday evening. Yeah, we were up against Adam Savage.
I was upset.
Yeah, you were not
I was
happy.
like, the entire time leading up to the con, I was like, I just really want to do our panel and then go see Adam Savage talk. That's all I want to do. Everything else, I'm flexible. And then they were competing. And I was like, you motherfucker.
Yeah, I realized you jinxed yourself. You're like, so all upset. I want of this con.
So mad. I got an autograph from him, so it's fine.
Yeah.
We had our moment in the sun, but I was a little upset that I didn't get to see him talk because he's very, very engaging as a speaker. But we were up against Adam Savage on Friday evening, which is a tough time block.
Yeah. And so the hour leading up to it, Caitlin, Aaron, and I were just like sitting at a hallway, and Aaron and I were panicking.
Oh, yeah.
Like shaking, anxiety, like, no one's going to come. There's going to be one person in this audience. What are we going to do? There's going to be like 3 people.
It's going to be what it is.
Yeah.
I was like, what if no one comes?
Yeah.
What do we do? Because I, like, for a minute, I was like, what if no one shows up?
Terrified.
Like, truly.
Yeah. It was some of the just like the emotional recall of that. My hands are tingling. I'm like so nervous about it. But then like it was well attended. It was 40 some people.
Yeah. So we were sitting in the hallway, and then other people started congregating around the door, right? And I was like, what else is on this hallway? I was like, oh, is somebody going to be here? And then people were like, oh, yeah, we're really excited about this Fic list thing. And I overheard, I was like, they're coming to our podcast. And that was the worst part, was we were sitting with all the people we were about to present to. And Caitlin was like, yeah, they're here for you, dipshit.
Caitlin was really our rock that weekend.
She really was. And in the right amount of brisk to cut through the bullshit. She was like, yeah, they're here for you because it's a con. You have a good title. And like, it's going to be fine. And I was like, oh my God. I started hyperventilating into my mask, mostly for comedic effect, but also because I was genuinely very scared. Yep. And like more and more people started coming our way.
Oh man.
And then we got let into the room and we got our stuff set up, and I turned around and the place was like,
it was a big room. They gave us a big room.
And there were people in every row.
Yeah.
Which was wild.
I was shocked. Flabbergasted, floored.
Yeah, and we were sitting up there talking, and I was like, we thought there were gonna be 3 of you.
Hello, room of
Everyone was
people.
like, nah, we're here, bro. I was like, oh shit, we gotta do a good job. I was like, oh no, I didn't know we'd get that far. And it was surreal how well it went.
Yeah, and here's the thing, is I was dying of nerves up until I sat down at the chair, and then I was like, all right, we're doing it.
I think that's fair too. I was still a little nervous, but then we settled into our usual sort of like friendly banter.
Yeah.
And having you by my side, I was like, I know Alan. Alan's not going to leave me high and dry.
No.
Caitlin's got us. Like, she's got us like rock solid.
Yeah.
We have a good plan. We have a game. Like, I was like, no matter what, we have put the work in to make this happen, and we are funny.
Yeah.
So if shit hits the fan, we can vamp and it won't be terrible.
Agreed. And it was not. Everyone was so engaged, and like people were like throwing answers out onto us.
Yeah.
And it was lovely. It was the definition of community, I think.
Yeah, it was easily one of the most forgiving audiences we could have had.
Yeah.
Like, it was an audience that was like there for it.
Yeah.
And that is huge, because I had kind of prepped to have to like get people's buy-in, because me and Alan have both taught. And I don't know if you've ever looked into the eyes of a like middle schooler who hates you.
Devastating.
And had to make them do a thing. But that's the hardest shit on this earth.
It's true.
To do. And that's the framework I have for presenting. And so I was like, I'm going to have to like get them on board with this. And we have to set up a conceit, blah, blah, blah. And then they were all like, yeah, we're along for the ride. We're here. This is a great idea.
Yeah. Because
tell me more.
Some of the, like one of the games was like, oh, turn to like a stranger and like start talking about like your favorite fandoms and stuff like that. And so in my head, I was like, that's not going to work. If I was in this audience, I would hate this because I am so socially anxious. But everyone was lovely. Everyone immediately like turned and found someone new and like they got to talking and it was lovely. It was such a great time.
There were a couple of people in the front row who were very talkative with us, which made it broke the fourth wall.
Yeah.
Because that was something I was worried about too. I was like, oh, it's going to feel like us lecturing.
Yeah.
Which we have not earned.
It's true.
No. Like, no one's here to see us talk for 45 minutes about ourselves, okay? And having that ethos was also the best choice we made the entire night, was knowing that no one know who the fuck we are.
Exactly.
And we need to make this as fun as possible with zero knowledge of our podcast.
1,000%.
That was the best choice we could have possibly made.
I agree.
And so we did that. We did the get to know you game, and then we did a bracket.
Oh, yeah.
Tropes. If you were at that particular con, by the way, the thing that Caitlin forgot to say is that they were all tropes from episodes that we had done. And she was so proud of that and then completely biffed it day of and didn't tell anyone that that's what it was.
She had a lot of plates spinning.
She did. She was really keeping the whole boat afloat. And Hurt Comfort won. There was a lot of like infighting. It was very funny.
It's devastating.
As is usual, we asked a room full of nerds for their opinions.
And they delivered.
And they delivered. And I was on board with it. And the vibe was just so good. And energy was so fun.
Yeah.
We were ended right on time.
We did.
Which I'm very proud of.
Yeah.
And we have every intention of going back next year.
Yeah, and I was so surprised at the amount of people that came up afterwards to like talk to us and like people were like, oh, you know, I had a lovely conversation with this person who was like, oh, you know, I have a 3-day pass, but nothing in the schedule today really interested me. But then I was in like my hotel room and I saw, oh, like a fan fiction thing. I like read fan fiction. I'll go. And they loved it. And they were like, yeah, I'm just subscribed to you all. So I'm really excited. It was great to get to like interact with people and like afterwards just chat about fanfics. Yeah. It was great.
And we found out after the fact. So we did a postmort with the con company, with Awesome Con. And that was me and Caitlin, because Alan was at work at the time.
That's true.
And me and Caitlin went in. We were like, they're going to tell us we did awful.
They're
going to be like,
never again.
Yeah, you are permanently banned from Awesome Con. And the producer was like, so you guys had one of the highest attended panels of the day. Yes. I think of the weekend. I'd have to go back through my notes. And you were the highest attended panel against a celebrity talk.
We'll take it.
I thought I was going to shit my pants. Like my stomach dropped. I was like, what? Like I could not believe that. She was like, yeah, you had like 40 some odd people. It was super well attended. Everybody said it was a good time. So for next year.
Yes.
Bear in mind, I was ready to beg. I had walked into this like, please let me come back.
Give me another chance.
And they were like, so we should talk about next year. Like, we have an idea for this and that and the other thing. We were talking about multiple opportunities. So whether or not that actually comes to fruition is a different question. But the energy coming out of it was just so overwhelmingly positive.
It was great.
And it was such a good... It was so good. And we got to run into some other friends at the con, like some other podcasts that we've talked to.
Yes.
The, Great Geek Refuge was there, and we just made it for their panel. We got stuck in traffic, and then we're like, run. So we like zoomed in at the last minute, and they were like, Erin's here. And I was like, and Caitlin. You don't know Caitlin, but she's here. And it was very fun. So like, it was a winner of a weekend. If you have joined us because of the Awesome Con, please know that we love you with our whole hearts.
Yes.
And we are thrilled. And also everybody else, we also love you with our whole hearts. But,
of course.
You know, but that's what we're talking about right now.
It's true.
What a win that was.
It was incredible.
That was definitely a highlight of 2021.
I agree. Yeah. It was a very bright spot amidst a very turbulent year.
Yep. And we bought a lot of good shit.
Oh my God. The art that was there, incredible. I spent so much time just wandering around and being like, oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah. That's beautiful.
You gotta be careful not to spend all your money at cons.
Oh man, it was dangerous. It was a dangerous time.
Your costume made quite a splash.
Oh, true. Oh,
you
man.
made a couple of Instagram posts.
I did. I was asked for so many pictures.
Yeah.
I was very pleased because I'm an attention whore.
I was a little jealous of it because I was
so
wearing
sorry.
my best costume of the time against yours, and you clearly won. I had my film accurate Merida costume on,
It was beautiful.
which was fantastic, and I got a couple of people come up to me and be like, "Cool."
Yeah.
Then no one asked for a picture.
I'm so sorry.
I got like one picture or something, and I was like, "Okay." And then you were like, every 5 minutes we had to stop for you to take a line of photos.
It was just, it's such an ostentatious like costume, and for
and
anyone
it's rare. People don't do that one.
It's true. Yeah. So if anyone is, I did the May Queen, my take on the May Queen dress from the horror movie Midsummer, which is just all flowers and foliage basically. And so I have this very long cape that just flows behind me, and it looks gorgeous.
Yeah, it's visually
good.
Stunning.
Yeah. It's a bitch to carry around,
Yeah.
so it was definitely a commitment.
And it's a lot of hot glue.
It's true. So much hot glue. As many people asked me, like, did you make this? And I would say yes. And they would ask, oh, how long did it take you? I said, it took me a month, a ton of hot glue, and many tears.
Yeah, it's a lot of crying. To be fair, while I was a smidge jealous, more so than that, me and Caitlin were both like, oh, thank God he's having a good time.
Oh,
The entire time we were like, the goal here, our secret goal, was to make sure that you had a good time.
Oh, y'all are too sweet.
Yeah, because both she and I, her secret goal for the first con that I ever went to, Philly, with her, was secret goal, make Erin have a good time.
Yay.
Because Caitlin's just a gift to all
she's
of us.
delightful, wonderful.
Christmas gift and all Christmas gifts.
Yeah.
And then me and her looked at each other and we were like, we have to make sure Alan has a good time. Because you have to have a good time at your first con.
Y'all are so sweet. And I did. It was lovely. I learned so much.
Yeah.
Some facts that will stay with me, whether I want them to or not.
We went to a late night panel about like aquatic sex, meaning fish and marine wildlife sex.
Yep.
And it was called Boom Chicka. What was it?
Blue Chicka Woo Woo.
Yeah, Blue Chicka Woo Woo, Blue Planet, something or other.
Yep.
And it was about various and sundry marine life and their sex lives with two scientists who clearly talk about these things all the time.
They were so funny.
And they were like, you know, this particular thing has like a really aggressive penis, and I'll just be like, and then they were like, what?
It was incredible. There was the one fact that sticks with me like right now, and anyone who was around me like the days after that con heard the entire spiel, because I had like a list. I was like, did you know this? Did you know this? But the one fact I can remember, listeners, is there is a type of like sea slug that has the largest penis proportional to its body.
Yeah.
And if it was like a human being, it could be as long as 32 school buses lined up.
Yeah, which is horrific to
And
think about.
the way it reproduces is it extends its giant penis, and then it goes around knocking on other sea slugs like, hey, you want to do something? The penis, to be clear, the sea slug stays where it is.
Are you familiar with the song? It goes, take a look at my enormous penis.
No, can't
That
say
one.
I am.
All right. Well, it's probably good that I can only remember that line of it because it's probably copywritten.
Oh,
but that's
man.
that sea slug's mantra.
It's true. And here's the thing, is that panel was literally like at 8:30 or 9 in the evening.
Yeah.
The second day.
Yeah.
And we were exhausted because we were there from the morning.
Tired out of our minds.
Yeah. And we were like, I think we even had the discussion like, do we stay for this or do we just call it an early day? And I'm so glad we stayed because it was so funny and so fun and so informative.
I clocked that panel early
You
in our
did.
planning process, and I was like, we're going.
Yep.
I want to talk about marine sexual escapades. And it did not disappoint.
No.
So thank you to those two scientists who taught us so many useful things to know about marine sex.
They'll stay with me forever.
There are many benefits to being a marine biologist. It was really funny.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just a super good time. So hopefully we do more of them in the future. I'm hoping to sort of parlay it into continued stuff, and definitely Awesome Con. It's good because it's down the street from us.
Right, like that's like we don't have to worry about
Yeah.
like traveling or anything. But
Yeah.
I was about to say, like, if they have any listeners and you know of cons that are near you,
Yeah.
we would love to hear where you are. What are the cons?
We'll travel for free con tickets.
It's true.
We'll deal with the Airbnb. It's fine.
Oh yeah,
Like,
we'll find a lovely little Airbnb moment.
yeah. But it's just a good time.
Yeah, it'd be great to like meet people who are listeners, but maybe we're not able to like make their way to DC.
Yeah. 100%.
We'll come to you. We deliver.
will. we do deliver. My cat is on my lap right now. She's like, bitch, it's cuddle time.
It's been long.
Oh, that's just the power.
Oh, thank God.
Thank God.
Oh, my
Okay.
God. Oh.
Oh, no. Okay, we might have to wrap this up.
Yeah, this
A stuffed bear just fell on Alan. The power cord to my laptop fell, and I thought it was the microphone
freaked
cable.
me out.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, okay, we gotta go. All right, how do people find us?
They can find us on Twitter at Ficklist.
Yep.
They can find us on Tumblr, run by the inimitable Caitlin.
Yep.
Thank you for doing that, Caitlin. You're a rock.
Theficklistpodcast.tumblr.com.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Don't look for us on Facebook. It doesn't exist. You can find us on Instagram. Maybe there'll be posts at some
probably
point.
not. I think our last post is from AwesomeCon, so that tells you where we're at.
If you want to look at our
That
post
was
from
in
AwesomeCon.
August.
It's true.
It is now Christmas.
And you can listen to us on the streaming platform of your choice, basically. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on SoundCloud. We are on Audible.
I know, which is
Somehow
wild to me.
Wild. We're on Podbean, Podkite. Anywhere that Aaron could find a place to plug in our RSS feed, we are on it.
Yep. I was a shameless hussy about it.
It's true.
Much like that sea slug.
Amazing.
Just put my little sound recording thing out into the ether and was like, knock, knock, knock.
Hello. You can also submit recommendations for fics for us to read. There is a tweet that is pinned on our account. You can go on there and fill out a Google sheet.
Yep. It should also be in the summary of our episodes, I think, if we were smart.
Oh yes, it is. It
Yeah,
is.
I think
You're
it's
right.
there.
It's in the episode
Yeah.
liner notes.
Yep.
Good call. We also have a Ko-Fi that helps us offset the costs of producing the podcast. So do not feel that you have to, but if you are feeling particularly generous this holiday season, we would say thank you.
Yep. $2 whole will, I don't know, soothe my
we'll
soul.
split $1, and $1.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Ko-Fi exists. It's also linked on Twitter. Don't feel obligated, but the goal with it is to offset the cost of creating this thing, which mostly include like SoundCloud hosting fees.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all we spend money on
It's
for
true.
this. So it wouldn't take a lot to offset those costs.
That's true.
Yeah, and so we also put together a sort of master reading list of all of the fics that we send back and forth.
Yeah.
That is linked similarly via the tweet that is pinned to our Twitter and in the liner notes of every episode, so you can read along with us. You please feel welcome to engage with us. Tell us we're wrong about shit. Tell us we're so right about
true.
everything. We handle criticism so well.
Oh yeah, on this podcast,
I don't stew on it at all. My ego takes a punch. No, it doesn't. My ego
I am a soft boy.
I am particularly fragile.
I will cry.
Yeah. Well, I'll get mad, which is different. You get sad, I get angry. And then I eat a cookie and I'm okay. So, no, please do read along with us. The goal of this podcast has always been and will always be to celebrate fan fiction and fandom and the creators who give of themselves to the community literally for free and out of the love for the thing. And also probably a little bit of spite. Let's be real. There's a certain amount of spite for canon involved in creating fan fiction that I'm very on board with. So like shout out to all of the authors, both reviewed and yet to be reviewed, and yet like the people who like make this podcast possible in an interesting way is the people who write fan fiction. So just know that if you write fan fiction, we love you.
We couldn't do it without you.
Well and truly, because I don't write fan fiction.
Yes, you do.
I did once.
If you want to hear what Aaron wrote, I think you should write it.
No, I will. For every email that comes into that effect, an extra day will be added to the length of time it takes me to release the tapes. So anyway, all that said, thank you. We love you. We look forward to seeing you in 2022. May it be kinder to us all.
Amen.
Goodbye.
Bye.